So you ban the Kalista, you take away the Ezreal, you've really limited the champion pool. And on red side, you can now take the Senna if you want. If you want to take the Senna away with the 2 strong removals of Teddy champs, they take the Rumble here, like I was talking about, instead of banning it. You have that strong fallback. You could even just go straight into Senna Kench, and I like that for Nongshim here quite a bit. It's TWon we're talking about, fantastic AD carry player. See if they go that way. Set. Prio's rising.
Yep.
They could take one of the 2. They'll take Nocturne again. And this was something that was not one of the big impact champions in terms of crushing teamfights or getting a tempo lead, but really changed how those late game teamfights were played. It made it a lot easier for Peanut to hit those equalizers.
It just offers you so much control, I feel. Even just the thread, but also the shutting out the lights, reducing vision, causing your opponent to react in a certain way, to group up. As you're mentioning for the equalizers, I like the pick. I think it's really strong right now, and they are going to prioritize it here as Renekton is left available. This was banned by T1 in game number 1.
Yeah.
So the fact that it comes all the way through here, they obviously wanted to prioritize the Rumble, but they will pick it up for themselves.
Question is, does Teddy get his AD carry champ here? You don't have the support to pair with it at this stage. You only get one part of it. You know, you could go for the Kench here and then take the other, but like, I think it's kind of off the table to go down the Senna path right now, as we'll see Viego picked up. So this is 3 champions that can be flexed into all 3 top roles, but I think we will see Viego solo, Renekton solo, Rumble jungle.
Probably
I'd love to
Viego
see this.
for Faker. And Gory, thinking about running it back. You know, we just had Lava bring out the LeBlanc again in recent times. We could see it again, but it's not looking like it, as Diana will be hovered.
I'll take the Diana instead of really common pairing with the Nocturne, and you have the set to back it up. So the engagement tools here for Nongshim are insane. The front line is great. Now all they need is a solid back line to do that damage, to actually have that consistent follow-up. We saw that Renekton Rumble was actually pretty successful in the previous series. If we go all the way back, feels like it was a million years ago now, at actually ganking the set. We did see that actually find success, even though the set's very difficult to kill. They'll ban the Senna, so like I said, that was kind of off the table. If you picked the Senna there or the Tahm Kench, it was going to be banned either way. You're never going to get 2 parts of it. See where T1 go, because like both of these teams don't have an AD carry. So if we end up seeing 4 AD carry bans, it's going to be about who has the deeper pool. And my money's on Teddy in that regard, but I still like the front line so much for Nongshim that even a Jhin like works for them decently well if they get ahead. Tristana, here we go. We're going down the rabbit hole.
Yep. How many AD carries can we find? Will anybody ban any support picks?
Teddy has only played 3 this season so far, the Senna, Kalista, and Ezreal. So
those are all gone.
They're all gone.
Nongshim banned all 3 of them.
I wouldn't mind seeing a Vayne ban.
Tahm
Kench, so I like that a lot.
Yeah, so no kind of Jinx Kench or Cogball Kench could potentially come out in response to what Nongshim want to play.
Yeah. They can Thresh Jinx. Thresh is still up. Jinx is still up. So that's a scary combo that will come through regardless, potentially.
I think you first pick, if they don't ban it here, you first pick on red side Thresh.
Yes, you have to, or otherwise you're going to give that duel over.
Okay.
Karma's removed. So if you take the Thresh, you can close out with Jinx and leave T1 with very few options.
Yeah, it's just so good. I mean, Kellen's a fantastic Thresh player. It works out really well with your composition. It can engage as well as disengage with Flays, boxes to deny. The follow-up from Viego and Renekton, I think this is definitely the pick, but they're not.
See, this is what the other thing I was going to argue against the Thresh, though, is that Leona is extremely good with all the hard engage that you have, right? Moonfall, Paranoia, Showstopper, Facebreaker. The follow-up here is insane. Like, I wonder if Kog'Maw is actually the answer for Nongshim as their final pick. You have really good range. You go rapid-fire cannon if you want to have like even more range, and you have such a good set of frontline to set up for you. Maybe that's the path. I mean, sure, you're going to give over the Jinx Thresh, and I think T1 is like, is this a trap? Like, there's a little bit of hesitation here because it feels like it was such an easy pick to just deny the Thresh. They didn't think they would have this opportunity to play it. We'll see if it ends up being a mistake here, but the final question will be, what's that TWon champ? What's it going to be?
Yeah. Who's that Pokemon?
He like plays Lisa, and I'm like, no, that's banned. I think it's Kog'Maw. Oh, Kaisa. I mean, look at this comp. How much more aggressive could this be?
Yeah.
I mean, like, paranoia. You have killer
He's
instincts.
Like,
you have the solar flare. Like, this is extreme long range.
He's like just there with his hands in the air. He's like, what?
But to catch a lot of that aggression, you have Thresh whoever gets collapsed on first will be able to take a lantern. You have.
This is why I still like Thresh better, I think. I think the Thresh does really well into Leona as well. But, you know, the Leona with the long-range solar flare, it really adds a little bit of extra reach. So it depends on really what you want to do, but you're giving over the Thresh to carry as well. So I don't know. I don't know about that last decision, but I'm curious to see it play out.
I mean, it's interesting because, you know, when you think about the ways that TWon can stop this type of aggression, they have decent peel, right? Renekton and Davidus, he'll have his stun. Rumble loves to, if he can sit back, equalize when the engage comes through and then drop his flamethrower. And if anybody who's trying to come in really hard, even like the Kaisa, ends up getting low, you see Kana get his reset, gets his first Heartbreaker off potentially, or even just gets the kill, gets the body, and starts resetting in the fight. Like, TWon have a comp that scale really well later on into the game with the Jinx. On the other hand, though, Viego, Faker's Renekton, not amazing here. A lot of this is going to be down to the tempo that Nongshim gets set, 100%.
Yeah.
This is going to be another crazy one, I think, about this.
That's what we like to hear. Let's get the action started from the get-go. Game number 1 started a little bit slow, and then we really slowly ramped it up into just this monstrous bubble of a game, which was awesome to watch. Don't get me wrong. So, whatever happens here, I hope it's close. I hope it's competitive.
Lots of sounds. Thank you for that one, Teddy. Not going to show it to him at all, but, you know, you can hear where it's coming from.
Curious to see how this Viego is going to do. We've seen pretty polarizing performances from our Viegos. Teddy is in a bit of trouble here. Will he have to use his summoners early? The answer is no. They don't want to extend too far. They don't have vision on where the enemy team could be. They could wrap around behind. They get some damage done.
Yeah.
Teddy is going to have to stay in the lane.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to back here if he wants to have that level 2 advantage, which is so critical versus Leona. He's going to stay. They had a ward on the bottom side of the brush, or the middle brush on the bottom side, so can safely stay in that location, know that he's not vulnerable to anything, and life goes on. But this is such a tense series because of the stage that was set by the first game. You know, you think about a series like this, T1 Nongshim was one of the most hype matches we have all week long, which I know sounds crazy if you've been following dynamics in Nongshim for a while versus T1's history, but T1's slumping, Nongshim on peak form once again. And since we saw them at their peak of their dynamics days, this is like a return to that form, but arguably even stronger here in the summer season. So once again, level 2 was the goal here for these two bot duos. Gory actually having a great start in this lane.
Yeah. And reminder, guys, if you missed the first series, this is 11.12. 11.12, the patch we're on, so the sustain in the lane here for the Renekton is a little bit less. Onto the minions, of course, and the amount of health that you can get back. And Gory is trying to make the most of that here in the early game trades that he is aggressively taking.
Yeah, just, you know, it all goes back to health. Once again, we're going to see an aggressive Rumble gank here onto a set who is slightly overextended, but not really that far.
There's the stun. I think the damage is enough. Flash comes in, and Cuz easily scoops that one up. And the Rumble is online again.
Rumble online, and it was not really that aggressive, the position that we saw from Gory, but he was able to get Cuz was level 3, and he got into just the deepest part of that brush, had his flash available. Just enough damage there with the extended trading that happened to actually get the kill. Gory heads right back to lane. Won't be able to pick up where he left off, but that's a lot of gold. Over to the Rumble, like you said. Nice stun here from Kana.
Yeah, good trading, but Peanut is here. Kana knows about this.
That ward is so critical.
Yeah, he was able to push the lane and use his fist to actually get up close to that brush through the lane. Doesn't even go through the river to get that ward down.
Yeah, he actually doesn't clear the ward. Peanut doesn't because he wants to get to the scuttle as soon as possible to make sure there's no fight for this. First-person view here from Cuz.
Oh boy, windowed mode. Oh, gonna tilt Twitch chat again.
Yep, he waits for Faker to make the call to go in. He goes up getting the stun there. Very calm and collected play from Cuz. And the ward, you know, staying up here ends up being actually kind of nice for Kana. Gonna have to farm under turret though. I don't know what was just spammed in game, but somebody was spamming some timer.
Yeah.
I know that sound.
I wonder what that could be actually. Any kind of summoners, maybe Faker's teleport could have been the thing. That was the most recently used thing that you could ping.
Yeah, I don't see any other summoners that were used recently. It's pretty common actually. I mean, everybody knows this from their solo queue, but like in Korea, people do use the pings a lot. If you see someone use the summoner spell in lane, you'll always spam.
Oh, we got a trade up here. Rich is going for it. The flash comes in, and this is a solo kill. Rich able to shut it down and evens up that kill score in the game 1-1.
A solo kill onto a Viego in this game here. Pretty massive.
Okay, flash on in. They're not messing around, trying to get on top of Keria here, who will flash away, but Kellen is so deep on in there. Stun comes through, and Teddy will also be chunked down. Very low mana here for Nongshim, but they did a lot of damage.
You can see that Cuz on the minimap, he was rotating over to maybe try to get something done himself onto Gory, but Gory is playing so passively right now. When you see that amount of trading happen in the bottom lane and nobody's there to catch that aggression, you know that it's very likely that the Rumble is nearby. Gory still, though, takes a lot of damage.
Yeah. Faker, a really nice trade at the end of that. And something we noted, by the way, in game number 3 of Genji up against Liv Sandbox was Fate was playing the Renekton, and when you're ahead and when you're dominating the lane, the sustain is going to matter less and less. So the nerf that we saw in 11 and 12 doesn't matter too much, especially if you can pick up some assists, some early kills, and actually gain a lead, get an early gore drinker, and you're not really worried about sustain anymore. Still ends up being a fun time for Renekton.
He's not staying for a long time up here on the top side. Even though Viego has got the wave pushed towards his turret, is in a pretty safe spot. He does not have 6. Peanut, does not. Rich does, but...
Kana is pretty squishy, though. They're trying to get the fear down, but he hits 6 just barely, does Kana. You see that actually pop up there on the left side with the CG.
Yeah, if Peanut is able to hit with the... experience there that he gets while he's in there, then he can actually follow through and Moonfall. He's still going to go for it anyways, no flash.
You can definitely follow up on this. Rich is taking a bunch of damage, but the follow-up comes through with the Diana, and that is a very clean dive that does come in. Peanut just going to flash for safety. Not 100% sure he had to use that, but they get the kill anyway, and it is solid.
TWon going to get the first Drake, trading back here on the other side of the map, but this is starting to look like this top lane is snowballing so much that I don't know if it really will matter at the end of the day. What Viego wants to be able to do in this game as we watch this once again on live. Meanwhile,
that sentence misses. It's pretty uncommon to see from Keria. It might not matter because it's 4v2 down on the bottom side. Rich has teleport. He will use it down on the bottom side, and this dive is not good. They're able to get the teleport and get out, though, which is not half bad. They need to use some time to get down here for the gank, but at least they don't botch it and lose any of their members.
Yeah, I mean, they lose a teleport here, Nongshim do, but I think the biggest winner is definitely Viego.
Rich is just so aggressive. He's so confident on this Nocturne as a big trade is happening in the mid lane at the same time. Dominus is used here. Gory is almost able to just snipe him there with the Haymaker. The true damage nearly landing, so Faker has to flash away.
Faker flashes to dodge the true damage, does end up surviving here. But like I was saying, the biggest winner of that teleport from Rich is Kana. He's in the top lane, actually not only able to catch all of those minions and avoid actually getting completely gapped here on the top side of the map. He's also going to get a turret plate. Perfectly times the back off here as he knows the timing of when Rich is going to come back up. Teleport's been down, so he knows there wasn't any way he could get up any faster. Paranoia also used. Not that there was anyone he could Paranoia to, but very well played here from Kana, really getting a nice edge here because it was starting to look like this Viego was going to fall so far behind that he was going to get lane kingdom and then there was just not going to be able to actually do anything in this game besides side lane and maybe hope that he can catch up later on. Gory. It's like, all right, well, if you want to tussle with me, I'll tussle with you, but yeah, nice resets here from Faker. Denies that back. If you look at the gold difference across lanes, the top side of the map is really where Nongshim have made their stand. This bottom lane for Teddy and Carry has been totally free.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, the range advantage that you have in the lane with the combo, with the Thresh, talking about that matchup, we do have a 2v1 onto Gory here. The Equalizer ticking for so much damage, but look at that. They don't even follow onto Gory.
No way.
The missile. Oh, that was so close. Right behind him.
Calculated.
Yeah, he's just backing. He doesn't care.
Hey, but it's a good sign, Valdez, because I think that's the first time we've ever seen somebody go, well, he's got Haymaker, might as well just walk away.
We're learning. We're evolving here at the LCK.
That's right. Like, finally people are actually going, well, I think it was very cool, it was very close, but he is in fact set. I can see that. So
okay. So we have this Rift Herald coming in, but it's 4v2 right now. The rotation from Nongshim is late.
And no teleport from Gory, he has to walk.
Could try to follow up, but no, it's a bit too late. This is going to be free. Kana has to give up a wave for it, but it's definitely very worth it to be able to secure that objective for your team.
I think the Thresh power that we've seen actually so far from Lantern alone, even though it hasn't necessarily always been for Teddy, but for a lot of these other players, has been so massive. And we see it one time again where, you know, even though it feels like there might be maybe one way you can come in, Faker keeps doing this.
And it will be worth it in the end. I mean, he's setting this one up. Faker's looking for the kill, but as you mentioned, Peanut's coming in.
He's got Moonfall, but does not have Flash.
The cavalry charging in from behind Faker. That was actually a little bit scary with the fog turned on.
Gory ends up clearing this whole wave really easily too. They might actually, nope, they're not going to clear this vision. There's been so much vision on the top side of jungle here for Cuz. It's been pretty massive to see some of these rotations coming through. It's a really close game, actually, so far. Neither of these comps have, you know, extreme, supreme late game supremacy over the other. So, you know, the fact that T1 have this first break is pretty massive.
Uh-oh. He's just all alone here. Carry-up, but they're not quite able to get the burst damage in. Carry-up just exhausts and walks away.
Yeah, exhaust used, and they're going to take this opportunity now to go ahead and drop the Rift Herald and clean up the rest of these plates. Will be first turret blood, too, going over to T1. Teddy going to pick that up. 610 gold. Nice attempt here to deny this. Very proactive from Kellen. Knowing that this the upcoming play, if you actually get that pick, you can shut this down completely, but unsuccessful. It's a bit of a quiet moment here before this next Drake spawns, but if T1 get a 2 Drake advantage, it's going to make it, you know, very comfortable for them heading into this mid game.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the objectives they've already taken, the first Drake, the first Herald. The only thing they're kind of not enjoying is this top lane.
Yeah.
And you look at the side of Nongshim, I mean, the Nocturne and the Diana are immediately online, so those are going to be a couple of tools that can absolutely help you just dive in and win big team fights, especially in the mid game here.
A lot of help coming up to the top side now that this bottom turret is gone. Rich was very far forward. He does react very quickly here. We'll just have Teddy and Keria trying to get a further lead here. Some additional plays.
Trying to punish Keria, but Rich, maybe did he go too far? The kill not quite coming in, but Kaisa's able to get that execution. And now we have the Paranoia follow-up. The Jinx has to flash away. And this is what Nongshim's comp does. You find enemy champion, and you engage on them. You press all your buttons. Look at this.
Peanut's here.
That's a really great stun.
Oh, that was so beautiful. Blind 2 over the wall just in case he was there. It's not over yet. Peanut once
still
more.
On the chase, and there it is. He's got Probell. Easy peasy flash on over. You got to be careful about the Viego, but you still got so much value if you're Nongshim in that top side fight.
So much extra gold. They actually pull ahead. They take a gold lead, and they're going to get an extra plate here, it looks like, potentially.
Okay, big fight here in the mid lane, but the grit is there, and the Haymaker is huge. The solo kill for the former substitute of T1.
Are we learning here in the LCK about that grit, about that Haymaker? I thought we were, but apparently not. As a failed attempted solo kill goes wrong here, Nongshim turned a very slight lead for T1 into a massive gold lead for them. They're 900 gold ahead right now, nearly 1,000.
Yeah.
As they take this scuttle, they have positioning to maybe even wrap up and wrap around for this Drake to even up the Heralds, or rather even up the Dragons. Smell a bit of a longer night here.
I want to. Oh, okay. So we're gonna start with this. Maybe we can see the trade between Faker and Gory a little bit later.
Karia's level 6 here, so he uses the box, gets speared, but he goes down so quickly. Rich does so much damage to him. The equalizer is well placed, but this is just a numbers game that you're not going to win as T1 here. Yeah, you get the flash away on the Jinx, but like once the paranoia comes through, you have to respect how quickly this team can rotate. I love the stun from Kana, but as we show, the Rocket Belt is just going to help close the distance with the flash here for Peanut to close that last gap.
All right, let's see it.
I mean, he stays here and keeps trading because he's got Dominus, but like, this is just a miscalculation. Like, it's just straight up, like nothing else to say about it.
Does Gory say anything? Nothing. Does Peanut say anything?
나이스.
Peanut does. I would have actually rather watched Faker's face in that moment, to be honest. But
Yeah. Either way, when I looked at the items right after, I saw Faker with the Gore Drinker, and maybe he died and bought it right away. So I don't know if he had that item advantage before he went for the fight. I would assume not.
I don't think so.
He just felt like, okay, I'm Renekton, I should win this, but he just got popped in the face multiple times by the set. It was pretty straightforward, just a miscalculation, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, last time we saw him walk away. Not this time.
Yeah.
So,
And that's just another lane that's coming online now.
Yeah.
Because the Nocturne and the Diana were already, holding hands and doing fun stuff up in the top side, but now the set gets an extra kill under its belt. The Kaisa got a kill in the last fight.
I mean,
things are really ramping up here for Nongshim.
Diana also is starting to get a little bit fed, which is terrifying, right? I mean, she spikes a little bit later than a lot of AP junglers, but getting the Rocket Belt this early, getting that kill with it, she's got Sork Shoes, and now has a stopwatch, so the upcoming fight, she's going to be almost immortal.
Look at Rich. I mean, he's not scared of anything.
I mean, this is a kind of game where the T1 fans are going to be like, still wondering if Zeus might ever make an appearance. It's not Kana getting totally gapped so bad that you have to really criticize his individual performance just because Rich is outplaying him. Interesting interaction here.
Yeah, Kellen's like, well, I didn't want to go over the wall, but if that's what you insist. And, they're going to use this prio. They have rotated the lanes, and they're going to look for the second Rift Herald. It's the only big objective on the map right now. And, I thought that rotation from T1 up to the top side of the map, where Keria went pretty deep and warded, I thought that was actually a smart macro play.
Yeah.
Right? You try to neutralize where Nongshim are strong, and you try to basically push Rich and Peanut out of the lane and stop them from bullying Kana. But it was just an overstep, and
yeah.
they were a little bit spread out. The communication wasn't there, and Nongshim just pounced on them.
It was a decision that when you think about the power of where Nongshim has their power, which lanes, which part of the map, it's a great decision in that regard, but it failed to take into account how far away and from how far you can actually collapse.
Hey,
Just watch this one more time.
well.
That was actually the sound that Valdez basically made when he explained what was happening in that. That's what sound you heard in your head.
Pretty much. At first he was like, oh, what the hell? Why am I here?
But yeah, in terms of the decision from just a straight up macro perspective and a state of the game perspective, I think it was correct. But when you think about how far Nocturne can engage with Paranoia, and I mean, if you look at this is why I was leaning towards the Leona. Didn't like the Kaisa as much, but Kaisa goes even more all in on this. Like, set Showstopper, Diana's Q, Moonfall, Paranoia, Killer Instinct, Solar Flare,
Yeah, Solar Flare is just more reliable engage, straight up.
Yeah,
right?
so
Thresh offers more utility, but the Solar Flare in the ability alone, and the follow-up, of course.
The synergy that T1's comp has with the Jinx is not that great. It's just that Jinx was a great option with Thresh as an AD carry, considering that most meta AD carries elsewise were banned away. So it felt like you chose, it's like you're picking teams for at the playground, and it was the best option left of the players that were left to pick as the Jinx with the Thresh. But
poor Jinx.
But actually, in terms of tiers, Kai'Sa's way lower. However, for the comp, it makes a lot of sense, and we haven't seen this really come online just yet, but I'm talking about some of the things that T1, some mistakes T1 might make.
Yeah.
That's not wrong based on, again, the map and where they are in this game, but wrong based on Nongshim's comp and how much Nongshim can punish them.
Yeah, I wonder who could have been better, if Sivir were in the meta, the magic shield to just deny that. Okay, we're going to have to hold that thought. Kana, Heartbreaker's over the wall. He will get away, but that was pretty scary there for a moment. But yeah, maybe Tristana, which they banned, stuff like this. But the Jinx, you're right, it does kind of stand alone. with the Thresh down on the bottom side. We'll
I mean,
see if it gets value later on, but for now it's just kind of sitting there.
Xayah, something else I guess you could have considered as
Yeah.
her own kind of safety net that she can
Zyra
have.
Khan maybe.
Yeah, because that's going to help you against a lot of the engaged tools that Nongshim have. You can counter some of that with the Rakan, and the Xayah can, you know, just flee away herself, like into the air, and be totally fine by the storm. So Nongshim going to look for a Drake advantage here now. And T1 are just not able to skirmish or fight. Look at the vision around the left side of the pit. Oh, look at all the pings. Like, T1's like, well, I can't be anywhere near that area. I can't be anywhere over there. They could be lying in wait for us. We don't know.
I'm glad you mentioned the Dinks too, because it's funny how similar this game could have turned out to our game 3 of Gen G versus Live Sandbox. I mean, you have the same matchup at the mid lane. You have like the same kind of weak AD carry that doesn't have mobility. We had Kog'Maw in that game with not much peel. This time we have Jinx in this game with not much peel. And there could have been a scenario where, like Live Sandbox in that previous game, T1 could have gotten ahead and were the huge favorites to win, but then the Jinx goes boom, and then it's like, oh, well, we lost all our damage, and I guess we lose the fight. That's what happened in that game, where Gen G were able to take it in one big team fight where they got jumped on by the way, Diana and Set. It's really weird how these two games could have been so similar.
And this meta is just so oftentimes revolving around those late game team fights because we're seeing LCK really slow down the mid game plays. And even a lead like 5 kills to 1 and 2,000 gold lead that we've seen for Nongshim isn't necessarily enough to guarantee you a massive lead going into the beginning of the late game. So still anything is possible here, but you see the Rift Herald tossed in right away, second one of the game to help push this mid turret down. Not going to be able to finish it off, but a lot of valuable damage here. Nongshim still sitting pretty in this game. Don't really need to force anything.
And I'm going to be curious to see, you know, what Teddy can do.
This ward battle is kind of hilarious.
It's funny to see. It'll be cool to see how long this game goes as well. I mean, Faker and Teddy just find themselves in super long games over and over and over again. Somehow, some way. And will this be another one? You know, Teddy was originally known as the Fountain Laser. And Jinx is definitely another champion that could potentially pull that off.
Look at this range and look at this threat. Like, Gory was not shown on camera there, but he was wrapping all the way around.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes a solar flare like that is just going to, if T1 try to contest, they actually end up getting collapsed on, they die, they have to back away. And that solar flare almost got you a turret, right, if you're Nongshim. So I love the proactive play we're seeing here, given the state of the game right now for this squad. The set got a little bit fed, right? So you can really avoid T1 punishing you because you know they can't actually be clearing these wards safely. Gory can actually take that trip around the world without any threat. Like, look at the champions that T1 have. There's nobody who's going to meet a Set in the jungle and be like, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry, you're going to have to walk away. Actually, Set could go wherever
Nobody
he wants.
does that to Set. Yeah. He's the boss.
He could do that. That's what it says on his LOL page. But he can go anywhere he wants.
It's true.
Whenever he wants. We need to make like a setfacts.org kind of webpage so people can know the truth about this champion.
We're just spreading truth. Everybody needs to hear our message.
But yeah,
Set-fanclub.com.
You can't stop him from making those wraparounds right now. You could see it coming if you have vision, but if you don't, it's hard for you to even go in there and get that vision. If you don't see Cell on the map, you're like always at risk.
And here's another thing. Okay, so we are having more downtime. Another thing I wanted to mention is that, again, the Thresh versus Leona considerations we were making here, as Gory is just going to haymaker backwards, clear the wave.
Use your body to clear a wave, yeah.
The thing about Leona is that she's really kind of like a win more support as well. Like, if you're behind, solar flares feel less and less good because you just throw them out, they kind of ignore them. Maybe it can peel. It's not as good peel as Thresh though, right? Lanterns, plays, you have more utility that could have potentially been better had you been behind. But when you're ahead, you just throw out solar flares, that's potential kills. Because your team is ahead, you can jump on in, you have fed carries that can follow up on that. But when you're behind, it doesn't do quite as much. So the Leona here ends up getting a lot more value because Nongshim are ahead.
Yeah.
And you can see that it's only really good feels. You know, if T1 were engaging hardcore onto your Kai'Sa and you couldn't really peel because they just dashed past your solar flare, definitely wouldn't be feeling as good.
No, absolutely not. And the reason why Nongshim are ahead, if you're tuning in a little bit late or you've forgotten because it's been so long since we've actually had a real fight or a kill, we got to watch this.
Guys, go back to the mid lane. This is definitely what we want to see. The Heartbreaker will be denied, by the way.
Here comes Peanut.
Here we go, just jumping on in. TWon is looking for the engage, but he went a little bit too far. He's going to be burst down. And now Rich is in the enemy jungle all alone, not able to do anything. Down he will go. And now it's a 5v3 in favor of T1. Nongshim, they are desperately looking to pull the triggers at any time possible, and they get themselves in trouble for it.
Yeah, and it almost felt like if Nongshim won that fight by the turn we saw, that was really similar to what happened on the top side of the map. I was going to say, I mean, it almost like goes back to what I was going to say and explain why T1 was behind in the first place, is fights like this, but this time it goes way better, right? Nongshim are not ready to pounce and actually punish as quickly with their comp this time when the death sentence comes through. They're going to group around this Baron, but they don't have the firepower to stop this.
No control wards either. Okay, there it is.
There's one.
And the one does come down. Will we have
wait,
any
Peanut.
steal from Peanut? Can he get it? No. That was down to like 24 health, but not quite able to get any kind of steal.
Peanut is famous for Baron steals, but this is a move that I think he will regret. Nongshim will regret with him. As we watch this once again, it looks like maybe there's a turn here. TWon has stopwatch. He is able to survive. He backs off. Peanut comes through. And look at how much engage they have. This is why I was talking about the top side of the map. T1 overextend because they think they can win this fight, but there's just so many ways you can collapse in. Unfortunately, though, Kellen is super low from the earlier exchange. You don't have a Kaisa who has enough damage to kill anybody. And watch this. How much is it? 69 when it hits, and like.
Nice.
Maybe if you're T1.
Yeah, for T1, I mean, that's a nice secure, but...
You've given over a lot of extra gold to T1 too. I don't think that was the right call from Peanut. You don't want to give up a Baron, but now you've given up your life as well.
I mean, I think the biggest issue with that was TWon killer instincting on top of Rumble. Like, he just did nothing. He jumped in, got burned to death, and that was it. He was gone. He got zero value in that fight. Like, you can't be ahead and just lose your AD carry, as sometimes the AD carry role gets memed when you just get popped like a balloon, but you gotta look out for yourself, as now Faker's gotta look out for himself, able to dash over the wall to safety.
Yep, he'll be okay. Kana's got a second item up now too. With all the gold given and the Baron buff on top of it all, like T1, we're making a big comeback in this game. And Nongshim gifting this to them by, you know, I mean, remember when Kellen actually stopwatched there instead of actually just going, like he flashed and then didn't, like he stayed, he didn't leave, and they tried to collapse in. If Nongshim just walk away there, we're still with a massive lead for them, but they got greedy.
Hook on Agori here, he doesn't care. As Nongshim, they're still very confidently pushing into T1's jungle, even though the equalizer will come down here. Here's the follow-up from Kellen. He's going to disappear. Now that Diana goes in, has to smite to survive. And, I mean, I suppose the only positive thing you can say about this for Nongshim is that they're buying time.
Remember,
but T1 are just absorbing this, and they're getting kills, and they're catching up.
Remember what you said about Leona being a win more, and how it doesn't look the same when they're behind? Well, after the second time Kellen makes a mistake here, being over-aggressive, I think we're going to find out what it looks like when you're behind, because T1 are now massively ahead in this game. They've won every single fight since that last exchange that went badly for them on the top side, because Nongshim are refusing to back off. They're actually just playing like they're massively ahead still and crashing their heads into a brick wall every single time we look for these big engages. They don't have the damage just yet. Diana still only has the Rocket Belt and the Zonia's here. You're not like going to explode T1 in one fell swoop with these engages.
Rebel has a lot more damage right now.
Yeah, like look at this fight again. Peanut's caught here. The equalizer comes down, and Kellen's going in. TWon's on the top side of the fight, but like, what are you thinking is going to happen here? Everybody's grouped up for T1. Nobody's isolated. You can't blow up targets that quickly, not anymore.
Yeah, you're fighting into a choke against Rumble, Jinx, Renekton. I mean, you're not going to have a good time, especially if you get caught out like that. I think that Nongshim, you know, they have a specific goal in mind. They see their composition. It's very obvious. You all press your buttons at the same time, and you dive the enemy back line, and you just look to get hyper-aggressive. But you got to be careful in times like this. You can't just go on any given day. You got to wait for your moments, like we were talking about in the last game.
I would love to see the item difference spikes for the AD carries, because Infinity Edge was purchased just now for TWon, whereas 3 items have been done for Teddy for a while. He also has his next BF sword online, so Infinity Edge coming up soon. You have to imagine, like, the AD carry matchup here, which has been again, a fairly boring lane to watch, but with the amount of damage that Teddy got done, got the full plates, went at top, got more value there, got so ahead, his power spike is accelerated, and that was going to be a win condition you could fall back on for TWon in this game, but now it just feels like a bonus because they've been given so many free team fights here from Nongshim, overextending, being too aggressive, that now you have a whole well-rounded team comp. Even a 2-item Viego has a stopwatch is actually relevant now. When Jinx can put people low, when you could see a really nice equalizer put people low, so Viego can pop off and get resets. It's a totally different game now. It turned on its head completely, like an hourglass flipping. And time is running out for Nongshim, it feels like, in this game if they keep crashing into these team fights haphazardly.
Yeah.
They need to play around more vision or around more people getting split.
Yeah, they're not even that far behind. Like, there is a couple of issues. You mentioned the items of Jinx. Now he has a stopwatch. But also the Rumble has gotten some significant gold back in his pockets, and he's going to be an issue. But
yeah.
I mean, you still have the same composition where if you find a Jinx, you find a Viego, somebody out of position, you can just CC them to death and blow them up. You still have that potential. That will always be there. It's just that the more time, the more levels, the more items you give to your opponent, it will be more difficult. And let's see how they set this one up, because Ward comes in. Will clear that out with the rest of his team, and Nongshim, it doesn't look like they want to back down from this fight.
Nope. They have vision advantage here around the pit itself. T1 are going to have to try to push mid, try to find something else, get a little bit of prio before they collapse in.
It's a great forward ward from Kellen.
Rich's position is so good here because he can basically be anywhere.
Yeah.
With his paranoia.
They're looking for Gory, who is just going to engage, gets into that back line. Nice base breaker as here we go. They're diving on in, and it is just immense damage into that backline, and this is exactly what we were talking about. They get on top of Teddy, he will go down. Baker is going 1v4, but it is not going to work out. It's not a clean ace, but it basically was, as Nongshim crushed them in the fight.
I'm gonna have to watch that one on like times 1.25 speed to actually see who got picked first, but I think it was Keria. Just looking at death timers, it was the one who was collapsed onto when Gory goes in.
There it is.
Actually collapses. There's 1,000 kills for Peanut.
Congratulations. A huge honor. Peanut joins the upper echelon.
First exclusively jungle player to actually make that happen. As let's watch this one more time, because Gory is on the side here. Like I said, Rich can come in at any time. They collapse into Gory. He showstoppers in, and actually looks for the angle here on the left side. You see the paranoia come through, and everybody gets clumped up here, but guess what? Set loves this!
Imagine being Jinx.
Imagine being Jinx, imagine being Thresh even, who cares? Like, Teddy's on the side here going, okay, well, I hope I can maybe help finish off these targets. Please help me, Faker, but no,
like,
not to be.
How am I supposed to play the game?
Like, set Diana.
이겼어.
Incredibly strong. You can't actually group up
아니야,
like this.
카이팅해. 나 존냐 있어.
Yeah, I mean,
He's just
오케이.
yelling to keep fighting
바로 가자,
because he
바로
has
가자.
Sonya's.
yeah. The idea is like, okay, let's try to kill the Set. I don't know why teams love to do this. They see Set and they're like, okay, we have to engage. They saw him alone and they were like, oh, maybe we can catch him out alone. But everybody on the side of Nongshim can hop walls. Every single champion can immediately jump in, and then you're clumped up.
This is
and
why
the Jinx has no peel. Nobody has no peel, and you're playing straight into Nongshim's comp.
the comp is, yeah, exactly. The comp has so much synergy. The execution is good here from Nongshim too. And, they didn't know where Gory was. And then they focused him. He, he's set. So Thresh is blown up first, and the rest of the team just falls apart afterwards. And now Nongshim have such a lead once again. Like, this game has definitely been back and forth, but Baron buffs up, Drake's, 3 of them to 2, but the fact they have Soul Point here means that the next Drake is so pressuring for T1. Like, they will have to actually fight over this, and I don't think they want to.
Yeah, they're trying to jump onto Ridge, but I mean, Strybreaker Nocturne is always going to get away. As we have seen over the course of 2 games, it has been pretty easy for Rich to avoid getting collapsed on over and over again. And this is what I was talking about. Nongshim, they had many stumbles in the mid game, but it ends up not mattering because of their compass. Okay, let's try to kill Set again.
I mean, watch this again. Like, he gets out totally fine. Ends up eating the equalizer damage, but now equalizer's on cooldown, so you feel even a little bit more comfortable to push through.
Look at his health bar. It's like, he got like 20% health there in like 3 seconds.
Plus
So,
two Ocean Drakes on top of it all to help heal him up. Ocean Drake value in the late game against the Rumble is so good, actually. Because oftentimes the Rumble will just kind of continue to use that later on because the cooldown's so low, but you can heal back through.
Look at what's happening in this game now. I feel like that game, they crushed T1, and they crushed their spirits entirely. Will they make a stand? Will they have any hope of winning a team fight here? They're going to let all 3 inhibitors go down.
Defensive paranoia here. It guarantees the 3rd inhibitor. And now the ball's in Nongshim's court here. They can back off.
They're TPing in.
If anybody dies here for T1, they win the game, but I think they might maybe force to just back off. Rumble does have his equalizer back up. Baker's going in.
Okay, equalizer does nothing. And there's the engage. The Diana goes in. The hook is good though. Nice. Zonya's, but Peanut might be in danger. And there's the set engage once again. Everybody tries to press their buttons, but the damage isn't enough. They're kiting back very well. And they're actually finding a way to win this one. The death sentence onto the Kaisa. T1 might have done it. They're able to get 4 here in the fight. And that is massive for trying to come back in this game.
Certified Clown Fiesta, I think, is where we're at right now, Valdez. But you can't stay that long. You said the equalizer does nothing. It did very little damage, but it trapped the members of Nongshim in the base. Then you start to see the engage come through. Like, we're going to jump right back to this. The equalizer locks them in a little bit, and it makes it feel like Nongshim have to stay and fight this because they can't actually get out. And then watch Kana in this fight. We see Peanut actually go golden twice. He has a stopwatch and the Zonias, so he's able to live, but he does nothing during these moments of the fight. Gory can't actually get the secure kill. Look at Kana. 1 reset. Okay, here we go. 2 resets, and he's just so unkillable in this fight anymore. It's perfect death sentence there.
Yeah.
Coming through from Karya guarantees the kill onto Gory. So much extra gold going over to T1. They're going to tie up the Drakes with this too, unless Rich steals.
Okay.
Which he does not.
That was a little bit scary. That was pretty tense, actually. You had minions pushing in, and if you give Ocean Soul away at that point, then your souls are certainly crushed. Spirits are totally gone.
This is a very crazy game, once again. We're 35 minutes in. Doesn't feel like it's that late in the game. Yeah, it's... If Monte Cristo were here, man, he'd sign off on it.
Somebody get him on the phone.
And I think he's the one who decides what is, in fact, a Clown Fiesta, but...
Absolutely.
I know him pretty well. I think he would definitely approve. He might be watching right now. You never know. But anyway, now we're seeing a group up here for Nongshim. Once again, they still have those 3 inhibitors of pressure. So even though T1 win the fight, like they're still on dire straits.
They run it back. They have 2 lanes pushing. Death Sentence misses. The engage comes in. He gets the stun on the Duck Dom, but there in goes the set. And this time it's looking a bit better, although Teddy is still alive. Still trying to kite back, but he finally goes down to the Nocturne. And that might just be it, because though he still has full health, they're trying to kite down onto Gory, as they're actually not able to break the base here. Down will go the 2 turrets, but that is it.
But T1, they're permanently on their base now, Valdez. You're not going to be able to leave.
Oh, boy.
They actually might even be able to collapse in here and take down the Nexus.
Duck here. He's looking for it. The Killer Instinct, he finds it, and he's able to get it down, and he's just going in. He doesn't give a damn right now. He's looking for the win, and he will be able to secure it. Finally, at the end here, Duck Dom shows up in a big way, and they're able to turn down all of the members of T1. Even Kellen survives as the Nexus goes down, and the 2-0 is secured for Nongshim here tonight.
Very messy back and forth second game after what was an extremely long first game. You've got to know tensions are high here on stage. Both